This is Chris from Chris Loves Crochet and Crochet Recreations, and I thought today we would put together a fat bottom purse for the holidays. But it can be for any time of year. You can use these colors for any time of the year, or you can certainly use different colors. I'm going to do one with a stripe, and the stripe is going to be this Red Heart with Love Hollyberry. And it's just a 4-ply. And this Red Heart Super Saver, which is called Gray Heather. And so those are going to be the stripes of the purse. And then for the border along the top, I'm going to use white. I think that will be pretty. Have the white along the top. And this is Red Heart with Love. And it's just called white. And then for the handles, I'm not so big on handles, you guys, so it's not going to be a fancy handle purse, but I just do a chain with several strands and then attach it really nicely so that it'll stay, and I'll probably put 2 of them on, one for either side, but we'll get to that. So we need the yarn, we need some scissors. You need a bent tip embroidery needle or any embroidery needle, large eye, a large eye embroidery needle, a stitch marker, just to, you know, if you need to set it down that you don't lose some stitches, and a 6mm crochet hook, 6mm. The red one calls for a 6.5, and the Gray Heather calls for a 5.5, so I'm just going with a 6. Plus my 6.5, I just yesterday lent to my Clover 6.5. I lent to a student who was doing a project for another class, and she was, bless her heart, she had taught herself how to crochet. She was making a scarf, and she was crocheting in my class, and she was using one of those loom hooks that go like at a 90-degree angle to pull over in the loom. She was using that and actually crocheting with it. Isn't that amazing? I had my crochet with me because I was going to use it later. I was going to get onto it later. And so I just pulled out my 6.5 and I gave it to her. And it was the only 6.5 I have. And because the regular Clover only goes up to 6, so I bought that 6.5. And then the tulips only go up to a 6. So I didn't have a 6.5. I only have one. Apparently, I need to buy some more hooks. Okay, so what we're gonna do is make a piece of fabric. This is like the easiest fat bottom purse you'll ever do, and you can do the fabric in any way you want, with any stitch you want. It doesn't have to be striped, and you could even do it with a big granny square or whatever you want, C to C, however you want to do it. I'm going to start with 50 double crochet chainless foundation. It's not my favorite, but I thought I'd show you. So we go up 3 for the double crochet, and then 1 more, so 4 for the base that we're going to be stitching into. So right now there's no chain, but we're going to continue on with our double crochet stitches. So I yarn over, I go into the first of the 4 chains, pull my yarn through, yarn over, pull through just that first loop, and there we've made a chain. And I'm putting my fingers right here where I made that chain so that I have those 2 strands locked out so it doesn't get too tight. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, go into that spot where I was just holding, so I'm going into the V on the bottom. Yarn over, pull through, give it a little bit of height there so it doesn't get too tight. Yarn over, pull through that first one, and keep my fingers right there. Keep it separate. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, go where my fingers are holding it, under the V, pull it through, give it a little bit of pull, and then yarn over, go through just that one, because that's the chain. And now we're making the double crochet on the chain you just made. So I'm going to do 50 of those, and then I'll be back to show you what to do next. So I finished the 50 chainless foundation double crochet. Finished the 50 of them. And so now I'm going to chain 2, turn, does not count as a stitch. And then we're going to do in back loops only. From here on out, we're going to do back loop. So here's the V. Here's a V on the top of the stitch. We're going to go into just the back loop right there. So go in through the center and out through the back. So, but I'm going to start with this first stitch here because I'm not going to count this chain 2 build up. And just do double crochets in the back loop only. My favorite kind of fat bottom purse, the fabric that's used, is kind of that, it looks ridged with ridges and stripes. And so I'm doing ridges and stripes. So I'm going to do 2 rows of red and then 2 rows of white. And if we always come back to the same side, I don't have to cut the yarn. I'm not going to be cutting and finishing off each pair of rows. So, and the ridges come in because we've been working in the back loop, and so this has a little ridge. And then when we turn and we work in the back loops here, we're going to have a ridge on the back side too. So we don't need that though. Think about that. We could maybe just do, we could do back loop and then front loop, and it would be really ridgy. That's a thought. So, however you want to do it. And the reason I did the foundation double crochet, chainless foundation double crochet, is because then you don't have to worry so much about how excuse me, how tight you stitch the chain. I had a viewer comment when I was talking about using a bigger hook. And it really isn't that bad to do the foundation. I just have a bad memory of trying it and it just didn't work, and then I practiced it and it's fine. But the viewer comment was, you know, when I was using a larger hook to do the chain so that it wasn't so tight, I said, you know, you can just do a chainless foundation. I said, I know. I thought, I know. I'll do it. So I did it. So now we don't have that chain kind of pulling. It gives it a lot more stretch with the chainless foundation. So I'm just going to finish this to the end and then show you how I put on another color and just drop the red. Drop it like it's hot. Now, here at the end, where we get to the chain, we want to go into the back loop of that V of the chain to make our 50th stitch. Okay. So really what I need to do here is to not finish off. Let me get my gray going. Is to not finish off that stitch. So take that out. Let's do it again. So we go in the back loop, we yarn over, go into the back loop, grab our yarn, pull it up, yarn over, pull through 2, stop. Now I'm going to take the gray yarn and I'm starting it, so I'm going to put it into a slip knot. I'm hooked there. So I can start right here and just pull it through and finish that stitch. And pull down on the red a little bit, pull back on the gray, get that knot on the outside. And now I'm going to chain 2. Turn my work. I'm going to leave this red just hanging there because after 2 rows of the gray, I'm going to pull the red back in and I'm just going to drop the gray. So now we've got both of our yarns working. We don't have anything to cut until we are at the end. And so now I'm going to go into the first stitch, back loop only, double crochet, second stitch, back loop only. Oh wait, we were going to do, let's see what it looks like when we do front loop only. And we have lots of ridges on the front. So chain 2. So here's our V. Let's go into a different one. Ugh. There's our V. And so we have a front loop and a back loop. It depends on which one's closest to you. So the front loop now is closest to you. And we're just going into the front loop. So you go in through the front of the stitch and come out in the middle of the V. Oops, I didn't yarn over. Get the front loop only. So it's back and forth that way. And whenever you get to the side with all of the strings, all of the yarn, that's when you're doing the front loop only. And when you're on the nice clean side over here, that's when you're going to start doing back loop only. So I'm going to do maybe 18 rows to end up with 2 red. So I'm just going to keep working on this until I get, so I'm going to do 2, oops, I'm doing front loop only. I'm going to do 2 rows of this gray, and then I'm going to pick back up the red, and then do 2 rows of red, front loop, back loop, front loop, back loop, front loop all the way down, back loop all the way down, until I get my piece of fabric to about, I think it's going to be 18 rows in order to get to end on the red, because that's 9 sections of 2, and so that's odd number. It'll be a nice big fat bottom bag. So I'm going to leave you to it. And like I said, you don't have to do this. This is just what I'm doing. You can do any type of stitch you want. If you're doing just straight double crochet, that's fine. If you want to do single crochet, half double crochet, you want to put in a fancy pattern, just make sure that you go with the multiples of. And you have about 50 stitches, which if I get out my measuring tape, tell you how wide we want it to be. I just went with 50. I didn't go with a measurement this time, so maybe I should have. It's about 15 inches, 15¼ inches when it's not stretched at all. So any kind of stitch you want, make it about 15 inches. Not stretching it, just 15 inches. If you're doing the double crochet, it is 50 stitches across. So this has no ridges at all, and this is going to be the inside of the purse. This is the outside of the purse. So we have a ridge here, and we have a ridge here when we brought in the gray. Then we'll have a gray ridge when we do the second row of the gray. I am just babbling. I'll stop now. Okay, I'll see you in a little bit. All right, so I finished my 18 rows, or 9 different color rows. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have the red on both sides, see? And so now what we need to do, you're probably thinking, hey, Chris, what are we going to do about all of that mess on the side? This is what happens when you just pull up from the side and keep your yarn going without cutting it off and finishing off every other row. So what we need to do anyways, we needed to go down and do a single crochet to finish off these sides. This side's going to be a lot easier. This side's not going to be that difficult, but we have a little bit more to look at. The gray I just cut off and tied a knot in one of the stitches, and I'm just going to leave that there. Finish my red right here. I did not finish that off, so I just finished that row and then just put my stitch marker in it. So I'm going to chain 1, and now I'm going to just turn and go down this side. And for each double crochet, you want to put in 2 single crochets. So, and I try to, so I don't end up with big holes, I try not to go through the entire post, around the entire post. Try to go through, but pick up 2 strands. And it'll get easier as you go along. But there's 1 single crochet in there, and then there's 2. We don't have anything to pick up because I put the grays down here. The next double crochet, I want to close up that hole a little bit, so I've got 2 strands in there. There's 1 double crochet. There's 2 double crochet. Oh, got my yarn going the wrong way. Then for the gray, I've got this red going down, so I want to make sure that all my stitches go around that red that we've carried up. So there's 1. What's that one and that one? 2 on this one. And then here's where I gotta get this cut off string in here. So I'm going to go under one of these. I'm going to get 2 strands under my hook and do 1 single crochet going over that, going over the red back there, and going over the gray. That's 1. Was that 1? Yeah. And then maybe there's 2. Now we're already in the next stitch, so I've got to fit 2 in here. 1. Make sure I've got that red. And 2. Now I've got 2 grays to get into this red. There's 1. And 2. You guys are seeing where I'm going with this. And then where that big hole is, I'm just going to grab where this big hole is. Oh, sorry. Where this big hole is, I'm going to grab this 1 strand that's right there and go through the big hole with that strand. So I've got 2. So now I'm just going over the 2 grays and making a single crochet and a second single crochet. So what you're going to end up with, since we have 18 rows and there's 2 single crochet in each row, you've got 36 single crochets going down. And I think that's good. If you feel like you need to have fewer or more to keep it nice and straight, then do what you need to do. The count isn't imperative. And then we are going to go back across and do some decreases. So just do what you need to do. So this is the front side with lots of texture. I don't know if you can see that. So you've got a ridge here, and then just a front loop there, and a ridge, and a front loop, and a ridge, and a front loop, all the way down. So that's kind of cool. And then once we Oh, I better put my stitch marker in there. I'm going to lose some stitches. There we go. Once we finishing off these sides, or these tops, then that's going to be our purse. I'll show you what we're going to do next with the decrease, and then what we're going to do with this side. Okay? So finish off your tops. And the first one you're going to get to is this side. When you finish up your last red or whatever color you're using, you're going to be on the side with all of the yarn. So your first one's going to be the one where you got to go over the yarn and get it all filled in. Pull that through a little bit. And then you're going to finish off on this side and then start your red or whatever your main color is that you ended on and finish off this side. And I'll see you in a bit. Alright, so I finished both sides with the single crochet to finish off those unfinished sides. And so what I'm going to do now is on the side that I attached to and did this finishing single crochet, what I'm going to do is go ahead and chain one, which it looks like I already did, and turn, and now we're going to do the decrease. Now I'm going to start off with just one single crochet in the first stitch. Now what I'm going to do is single crochet 3 together. So I'm not going to grab up yarn every time. I'm just going to go in, out, and grab the yarn, pull it through, then do a single crochet. Cool, huh? Then the next one, down, up, down, grab the yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops, single crochet. So keep an eye on where the last one it was that you took so that you don't get into it twice. But down, up, down, grab your yarn, pull it through, pull through the 2 loops. Down, up, down, single crochet. So I'm going to finish doing so I finished doing the 3 together to shrink it up, and so that looks pretty good. And now I'm going to finish off the red. I already pulled it through. I'm going to finish off the red and then start the white, because we've got white for the top, and we're also going to use white when I show you how to bunch up the sides. We're going to use white, so it'll be nice and Christmassy. So I'm going to do 3 rows of white single crochets and then do the same thing over here with 1 row of red, 3 together, and then 3 rows of white single crochet. Then I'll be back. So I finished the tops, and then what I did was I crocheted, well, I just did a chain of 25. And then wove it in the side, and I'll show you how I did that on this side. It looks kind of small, but we want it to really pull up a lot, to shrink up the sides a little bit so that we don't have this wide open thing. So 25 is half of what we started off with, which was 50. So what I'm going to do is use this stitch marker. That's very much like a safety pin. So if you don't have these kinds of stitch markers that are kind of skinny, then just use a safety pin, a small safety pin, and put it in one of the end knots. And then we're going to weave it through. We're going to start where we're going to go in, right where the white starts on this side. And then we're going to skip one and then come up the next stitch. Uh-oh, what happened? Nothing. There it comes. Okay. So now as we weave, we're going to have to kind of bunch it up. We're going to run out of room. So we skip over a stitch, skip over this, well, we skip over 2 stitches. So we skip over this opening and go into the next opening. So we skip over 2 stitches, go down, go under 2 stitches, come up. So you're just weaving it every other one. And you do that all the way around as you're squooshing it up. And I'm going to end in the stitches. We were just going through the posts. I'm going to end in the stitches. So I'm going to go in one stitch up here and then come out at the stitch with the first white stitch on the top of the purse. And pull it up and get that tail out of there somehow. Okay, and now I'm going to take off this pin. And see if my other side stayed up. Yep. No, wait. There it is. Right here. So I should have tied it first, and that way but so I did not sew in the end of this side of the white front. I'm just going to tie, I'm going to pull the knot from the chain, from the white chain down in there into the red. And now I'm just going to do a square knot with these two. There's going to be a lot of knotting, and so it's right over left, left over right, and leaving of strands, and because I really like fringe. So there's going to be some fringe on the end of my handle straps. And so I'm just going to leave this as fringe, right over left, left over right, and see how I can work that in as strands. So, kind of open it up and you can see that it's white coming through. So we have a big puffy purse. Big puffy purse. With some white edging to pull up the side so that things won't fall out. Now, I'm going to make some handles and attach them around here. And then around here. And all I'm going to do is take all the colors that we used, except I don't have my gray in here. I'm going to take the white and the red. Where did I leave the gray? The living room. The white and the red. Oops, sorry. Hit my tripod. And the gray. And I'm going to just do a chain. And that's going to be then the handles. And then I'm just going to sew them on to the ends of these white things. To handles that are long enough to go up and over like the elbow to hang on to it. So I will be back and show you what I have. And anyway, I'll be right back. So here it is. So I took the red, white, and gray and a 9mm hook and did a chain, did 2 chains of 40 a piece. And then with the knot down here onto the edges of the white top on both sides, I took a red yarn and just wrapped it around. And sewed it on. Now what I did was I came up through the knot to begin with because I wanted everything to end up down here. So I went up through the knot of the chain and then sewed it on and then pushed it back through the knot. And then I grabbed the 2 white that I left hanging out when I tied together the side cinch and the top leftover yarn. Pulled that in and then just did a knot. And so I did that on all 4 corners. And so I have this fringe. Now what I like to do with this fringe is not necessarily cut it perfectly even, but kind of take my embroidery needle and get into the yarn and start it actually fringing. It's going to do that anyway. So you may as well do it. And then I love the fringe. So you don't have to go all the way up, but you can go up some of the way and just get that fringe going on all of your yarns ends while you're watching a movie. This isn't nearly as much fringing as I do like on a poncho or on a sweater or something. That takes a lot of time to do with my yarn. But there it's starting to fringe. So I may trim that up a little bit. Some of the too fringy parts. And then it just keeps coming undone. Which is great. It's great. And I also put a brooch on. I feel like Crystal. I put a brooch on. This is my grandmother's angel pin. I put that on the front. And so here are the, if you can see the whole thing. Here are the handles and the big fat bottom bag. They're open, closed. Now to keep it closed, speaking of closed, to keep it closed, you could put in a snap. I was out of snaps. You could put in a snap, and that's real easy to do. Or you could do, instead of a brooch or something on it, you could do a flap, come over, and they'll have a button over here. Or leave the brooch and put like a chain here, and the chain goes around the brooch. Might get stuck on it, but anyway, that's the fat bottom bag. There it is. There it is. How do I show you? I don't know. I'll put a picture in. Okay. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you try it on your own. And you could easily change this gray into green and make it really festive. But I figure with the red and the gray and the white, it's something that you could use throughout the holiday season because it is kind of a winter purse. And you won't be stuck just with Christmas. So, and the gray looks nice with a silver, with a brooch with some silver in it. So I hope you tried it. Thank you for your time. And we always have a choice, so please choose happy. Thank you. Bye.